Good afternoon. You are watching Vision TV Live, and this is the weekly news with me, FATOUMATA JAWARA. In the headlines, Deputy Mayor asks Barrow to intervene in BCC internal tussle. Ahmed giving ultimatum to appear before committee probing alleged corruption at GT board. AG orders to pay $10,000 for not appearing in AKI case. "24 witnesses lined up in alleged police killers trial. UDP against presidential advisors mentioned at Supreme Court. Barrow says opposition has no chance against a united NPP. Gambia-Senegal Economic Forum breaks bureaucracies in bilateral trade. Those are the news headlines. Do stay tuned for the news in detail. Welcome back. Deputy Mayor asks Barrow to intervene in BCC internal tussle. The Deputy Mayor of the Banjul, in league with 5 other councillors, have written to President Adama Barrow asking for his immediate intervention in the internal tussle at the council. The council has been bedeviled by internal wrangling and governance crisis between the Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe and her deputy Aziz Gay. The letter to the Gambian leader will detail the issue from unauthorized appointment of a certain councillor to operational absence of rules of procedures, among other issues, came in the wake of the local government ministry's advice to the deputy mayor, asking him to refrain from addressing them in missives without the express consent of the mayor. In the letter to the president, the deputy mayor Aziz Daba Gay and 5 councillors said they were morally obligated to report the alarming irregularities, persistent statutory violations, and the concerning disregard for established governance protocols at the council. The gravity of the issues presented herein necessitate your immediate intervention, the letter stated. They also informed the president of their continuous engagement with the local government ministry, saying it has regrettably yielded disappointing results. The ministry's response, or rather its lack therein, to our letter, which was attached to your reference, is a source of profound disappointment, it continued. Despite the gravity of the issue raised, the ministry's response has been characterized by a lack of substantive action and a disconcerting failure to fulfill its supervisory and regulatory role. Even in instances where attempts at interventions were made, they appeared to be selective and conspicuously biased. They accused the governance director, David Gomez, of choosing to divert attention towards peripheral matters rather than addressing the core concerns they said were raised in the communications. This deliberate sidestepping of the substantive issue at hand raises significant concern about governance within the council and the accountability of council officials. They claim that the General Council has passed a resolution for the establishment of 7 different committees. However, they added, the mayor refused to recognize its legitimacy. She argued that the establishment of 2 committees, namely Foreign Relations and Safety and Security Committees, cannot be allowed as they are not part of the respective committees cited by the Local Government Act. This represents a grave misconception and misrepresentation of the relevant provision. They also informed the president of the absence of what they call a proper handover mechanism and its consequences, the misrepresentation of statutory provision, and the dilapidated scholarship system, among other issues. Consequently, the letter noted, in light of the foregoing, we urgently request your immediate intervention to rectify these ignominies, the restoration of good governance, adherence to the Local Government Act 2002, the establishment of rules of procedures or standing order, and the appointment of a clerk to the council, and the reinstatement of trust and confidence in the BCC's leaderships are of paramount importance. Ahmed giving ultimatum to appear before committee probing corruption at GT board. The Public Petitions Commission of the National Assembly has given Tourism Minister Ahmed Ba an ultimatum to appear before the committees as part of investigation into alleged corruption at the Gambia Tourism Board. The committee is probing allegations of graft reported by staff of the GT board in 2021 implicating former senior officials of the GT board and the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. Former Permanent Secretary Kodu Jaban Senghor, who is now redeployed at the Office of the Vice President, testified she denied any wrongdoing in the awarding of contracts for the construction of Eagle Lodge. Decision against occupying the Tropic building as agreed in the contract between GT Board and the Construct Limited, a reduction or waiving of levies for investors, among others. Minister Ahmed Ba was also invited to testify but did not appear. Committee members waited for over an hour before they were informed that the minister was attending Gambia Day in Dakar, Senegal, with a Gambian delegation and could not attend. The committee then conducted a closed-door meeting to discuss their next steps. When they finished, committee chairman Suibu Ture informed waiting journalists, "We are rescheduling this meeting with the Minister of Tourism. We have received a letter from the Permanent Secretary informing us that the Minister cannot attend this meeting for reasons beyond his control. So we are rescheduling this meeting till November 1st, 2023, and the Minister must attend this meeting." The aggrieved GT board staff, who petitioned lawmakers, accused their authorities of engaging in various corrupt practices, including the awarding of contracts for the construction of Eagle Lodge, dubiously cancelling out a contract agreement between GT Board and Construct Limited for the construction of the office complex, allocating and waiving of 3% from levies supposed to be paid by Kajang Holding Group and the Moab Capital, which, according to the petitioners, led to the loss of over $450,000 in revenue. Meanwhile, former GT Board Director General Abulai Hydra, who is now deployed to the Foreign Service, having been adversely mentioned in the petition, testified on Tuesday why the GT Board former Director of Finance and Chairman of the Contracts Committee, Usainu Senghor, who was also implicated in the allegations, testified on Monday. Mr. Senghor, who is now with GAIPA, denied any wrongdoing and told members that he was bitter by these allegations and called on NAMS to take actions against those who peddled the allegations to taint them. AG orders to pay $10,000 for not appearing in AKI case. Justice Ibrahim Ajete has ordered the Attorney General, Ministry of Health and Medicines Control Agency to pay the sum of $10,000 to the 19 plaintiffs whose children allegedly died as a result of acute kidney infection last year. Justice Jete made this order and premise on an application made by lawyer El Faraj, plaintiffs' counsel, for the court to dismiss the motion on notice filed by the state and its failure to appear in court. The State Law Office motion on notice is seeking for an extension of time to file their defense on behalf of the Attorney General, Ministry of Health and the Medicine Control Agency. When the case was mentioned, the court observed that the defendants and their representatives were absent in the court. Hence, lawyer El Faraj urged the court to dismiss the motion on notice dated the 31st July 2023 on the grounds that the Attorney General, Ministry of Health, and the Medicine Control Agency have not filed their defense, and the 90 days have elapsed. The trial judge in this ruling disclosed that on the last adjournment date, counsel Binga D. S. Jabati, A. Jiba, and S. Jawara agreed for the date, and they were aware of yesterday's proceeding, but they chose to stay away from the court. Justice Jete said on the 31st July 2023, the State Law Office filed a motion on notice seeking for an extension of time for the third, fourth, and fifth defendants to file their statement of defense. Justice Jete stated that filing of motion is almost 3 months, and the state has not filed any processes for the court to deem it to be properly filed. Justice Jete pointed out that the motion on notice filed by the state for an extension of time was calculated to delay the proceedings. He said the state would have filed their processes by now if they were diligent enough in defending the suit. Justice Jete noted that the State Law Office was also absent in court without any reason. He then struck out the motion on notice and awarded the sum of $10,000 as costs in favor of the plaintiffs against the Medicine Control Agency, Ministry of Health, and the Attorney General. Justice Jete renewed the order the court made on the 21st July 2023 to the writ of summons to be published in a widely spread newspaper in Delhi, India. The 19 plaintiffs are suing the Medin Pharmaceutical Limited, Atlantic Pharmaceutical Company, Medicines Control Agency, Ministry of Health, and the Attorney General, and are claiming the sum of $10 million as damages per child. "24 witnesses lined up in alleged police killers case." Justice Ibrahima Jiti of the High Court in Banjul has disclosed that 24 prosecution witnesses have been lined up to testify in the crime trial involving the state against Usainu Bojang and Ami Bojang. Justice Jiti revealed that he wants the prosecutions to put their house in order as he wants to finish the trial within the earliest possible time. Usainu Bojang was charged with 5 counts, including murder, prohibition of act of terrorism, assault causing grievous bodily harm, whilst Ami Bojang was charged with a single count of accessory after the fact of murder. Both Usainu and Ami pleaded not guilty to the charges, and the prosecution led by senior counsel E.R. Dogan called the first witness, one Ismaila Bojang, a soldier resident at Yundum Barracks. The witness recalled that around 9 p.m. on the 12th September 2023, he was with 2 of his colleagues, and on returning from the beach after training, they dropped at the Sukta traffic light junction. He said they then sat behind 3 police officers who were on traffic duty. He testified that he had gunshots, which he thought was a negligent discharge, but as they looked at the direction where the police officers were standing, they saw one of the police officers fall down. And while the second officer attempted to hit the shooter with a fist, he shot the second officer on the chest. The witness told the court that as the 3rd officer, the female police officer, attempted to run, the shooter shot at her. He said he started to run towards the shooter with his colleagues, and as they were shouting "thief, thief," and chased the shooter but could not get hold of him. He said they returned to the crime scene, where they observed that the victims were evacuated while the scene was filled with people. The witness revealed that he eventually found 2 empty bullet cases believed to be from a pistol. Hearing continued on the 30th October 2023. UDP against presidential advisors mentioned at Supreme Court. A representative of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, Senior State Counsel M.B. Sow, has informed the Supreme Court presided over by Justice Awaba, sitting as a single judge, that the state will file its statement of case before the end of the week in the case involving Ibrahim Diba and United Democratic Party (UDP) against presidential advisers, the Public Service Commission, and the Attorney General. Diba and the UDP are asking the Supreme Court to declare the appointment of certain presidential advisers as unconstitutional since they are members of political parties. During proceedings, senior lawyer Ida Drame, representing the Public Service Commission, indicated that she will file her defense in the case, but she needs to confirm when personal service was made on her clients, the PSC and Dembo Bojang. That matter was adjourned to 31st October for further mentioning, by which the state would have filed its defense. Meanwhile, a similar case involving Diba and the UDP came up against the AG, PSG, and presidential advisers Lamin Sedi, Suleiman Kamara, Henry Gomez, Lamin Cham, and Du Sano. These cases too were adjourned to the 31st October 2023 for further mentioning. Lawyer Usainu Dabo, Nene Cham, and Yakumba Jete appeared for Diba and the UDP. Barrow says opposition has no chance against a united NPP. President Adama Barrow has said the Gambia opposition has no chance of defeating the ruling National People's Party in the 2026 presidential election if its executives and supporters remain united. President Adama Barrow has said the Gambia opposition has no chance of defeating the ruling National People's Party in the 2026 presidential election if its executives and supporters remain united. Addressing a meeting on Thursday organized to welcome the Youth for Change and Development (YCD) to the NPP, Barrow said his party has been attracting strong solidarity from all corners of the country. He said the coming of the youth political group will add value to the party's restructuring process. The opposition is giving their supporters the impression that they will remove me in 2026 as a strategy to keep them like they did in 2021. That is the kind of rhetoric they were making, but I want to tell them that that is a lie. That will not happen if we are united, he said. Mr. Barrow said the opposition doesn't win election. What actually happened is that the ruling party made itself lose by creating unnecessary tensions among themselves and undermining each other. If that happens, the oppositions will capitalize. But how can someone who can only make noise with nothing to offer win an election? Barrow argued. He posited that the NPP lost the National Assembly and chairmanship elections in the West Coast region because of its disunity. The West Coast region is a very strategic place in Gambian politics, and if any party wants to succeed, they need the support of West Coast. So I urge all of you to stay united, especially those in West Coast. Also, let us be honest and love our country, he appealed. Gambia-Senegal Economic Forum breaks bureaucracies in bilateral trade. Gambian and Senegalese public and private economic operators have been accorded an opportunity to explore prospects in both countries as well as benefits from the two governments' goodwill to remove bureaucracies in registering or making of businesses in the two countries. Hundreds of business heads and investors from the two countries met yesterday at the Radisson Blu Hotel in Dakar in a forum organized by the two nations' investment agency, GAIPA and IPEX. We took advantage of the Gambia Day celebration, a concept initiated by the Gambia's High Commission in Dakar, to exhibit Gambia culture as well as promote Senegambia relations. The Prime Minister of Senegal, Amadou Ba, and the Vice President of the Gambia, Mohamed Jallow, took turns to register their respective leaders' commitment to break any remaining barriers in relation between the two peoples in all areas, especially trade and investment. Just after the recent presidential election meeting last August in Banjul, President Sall has instructed his government officials that when dealing with the Gambia, they don't have to demand any bureaucratic protocols, but only telephone calls, and that has already been demonstrated. And this gathering must follow in that spirit, VP Jallo said to a rousing applause. The Gambia High Commissioner to Dakar, Hadrami Sidibe, expressed his office pride to be able to put together this maiden and successful event and thanked his staff and all government and private agencies in both countries who made it possible. The two countries' investment agencies, GAIPA and IPEX, assured the investors that the forum has been put together to smoothen the way for greater integration of businesses and trade in line with the ECOWAS concept. Following the opening ceremony, the two sides had a marathon presentation of investment opportunities in each country as well as simplifying trade, custom transportation between them. In a show of instant success, the forum witnessed the signing of an MOU between the Gambia Public Transport Service Corporation and the Dakar Demdik, while GAIPA and IPEX too formalized a loose operation. The forum discussed areas in tourism, arts, agriculture, petroleum, fisheries, among others. The Gambia Day climaxed this evening with a gala and cultural night featuring Gambian and Senegalese artists at the Radisson Blue Hotel. That brings us to the end of our weekly news bulletin. I was your presenter, FATOUMATA JAWARA. Thank you for watching with us. Do have a great weekend.